Identity shifting. Hey there, I'm Tanya Wilson, Master Life and Business Coach, also known as the Growth Strategist. And I help women step into their personal power, scale their business, and create lifestyles they love. And I do it by one of three ways. So if you're listening to me, if you work with me, I will always come from one of three perspectives, if not all of them. And that's abundance mindset. I'm teaching that thing, right? Helping people shift their mind into spaces of abundance. Personal growth. This is when you're growing personally. This might be your emotional intelligence, your ability to see the best in things, all the things, personal growth and business building. I'm coming from one of three of those concepts when I'm teaching, and in all of the work that I get to do in the world space and create is coming from one of those three spaces, if not all of them. And today I'm talking about identity shifting, which just so happens to come from all three of those spaces, because anytime you're shifting your identity, you have to step into a more abundant thought process, right? It has to be bigger than how you were thinking previously, definitely different from how you were thinking previously. It definitely takes a level of personal growth, like who you are being. It's got to change, right? And identity shifting, who you are being has to change. And that is personal growth, which is something that always, always, always happens from the inside. And then business building. So if you're here, which many people who follow me are entrepreneurs or business owners, self employed, if you're here and you fall under one of those categories, then doing something different in your business will definitely require a different identity. Now, that could be your brand's identity. And this is one of the reasons I love, love, love teaching branding, which is about identity and mindset and who you're being and business, all the things, right? Just keep tapping right back into those three core spaces that I'm always going to come from. But I thoroughly enjoy teaching branding because despite what many people say, I had to take a pause on that, right? Branding is not your logos, it's not your websites, it's not your pretty pictures. And so, for all the things that we're throwing up on the internet, if it's not in alignment with who you are as a brand, it makes absolutely no difference. It's like having the most amazing pictures and then coming to visit, and the experience is completely opposite, right? And so, your brand is how the marketplace sees you, how they're experiencing you, who you be, which is a central core part of identity. And so I want to talk about identity shifting on today because that is what's required when you're wanting something new. Let me circle back. I wish I could do, and maybe I'll be able to find that the rewind sound at this point. Imagine that rewind sound happening right now. So your identity shifting is it's energetic. Remember I said that when you want to change how the results and things are transpiring in your life, an identity shift is required. But I wanted to rewind because actually you can do it by going really, 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 really hard on something for a really long time until eventually that thing becomes a habit for you, which is how we've been taught to do it for most of our life. And which is often the struggle that many people find is the ability to have the discipline and the consistency in order to change the habit, because our results are really simply just a result of the habits that we have in our life, basically, right? But in identity shifting, because it's about who you're being, it is more of an energetic thing that transpires, right? This is that thing that happens from the inside and with quite a bit less effort than, like going really hard and, just really putting in that hard hustle. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have its place. I'm also not saying that it doesn't work. But if you're following me, I understand that you desire to create it with more ease, more grace, and more flow in your life. And I'm telling you that the key to that is identity shifting. And for many of you who have maybe you've come from the manifesting community, and I'm a believer, and so I first heard of the word manifesting through scripture, and then understanding and learning and researching what manifesting was, I realized that so many things in the scripture were actually telling us how to manifest and bring things into fruition. But a lot of that is in alignment with identity shifting, right? It's like, if you want this new thing to happen, if you want this new income realm, this new way of doing business, one of the simplest things to do is to have an identity shift. Now, identity shifts can happen intentionally or unintentionally. And for many people, they happen unintentionally. And the problem with them happening unintentionally is normally there's not enough congruent, authentic change that has occurred from a cellular level to cause the change, the new result that you would have wanted anyway to maintain. There's not enough congruency that is built in happening because it wasn't something that you intended to happen. Here we go here so that I can make more sense of what I'm saying so that it's really plain for you. So there were seasons in my life where identity shifts happened for me unintentionally, meaning I went through a divorce after a 14-year marriage. Yes, I had to step into a new identity whether I wanted to or not. Now, because I was willing, because I didn't look at that situation in my life as my downfall, I had an easier transition into this new person, this new way of being and living that I was having to step into. But what I learned is that even though that life circumstance or situation was occurring and I was stepping into a new identity, I didn't fully embrace it. And so there was often struggle because my old man, right? I don't mean my old man as in my old husband. I just read someone talking about what age do you have to be before you start calling your man your old man. But anyway, I digress and go back to what we were speaking of. But I mean your old man, like scripture speaks of, putting on the new man. So your old man would be that old mindset, old way of thinking. It's like you may transition because life may have flipped on you. There wasn't a choice to this new thing. But if you haven't changed who you are, the chances that you will go back and get very, very similar results are really, really high. One of the things that was really important to me, I spent years, won't take you that long because I've done the work and I can walk you through the concepts, but I took years figuring out who I needed to be in order to align with the Boaz or the ideal partner that I actually wanted. I spent years unlearning uh, thoughts and mindsets and ways of being in order to attract a better aligned partner. And so that's just one example. Another thing that happened for me, which was beautiful, and I can't unsee it, right? I cannot unsee what I saw, which caused me to make a shift. But I remember I owned a brick and mortar service based business for about 10 years. And I remember when the concept of consulting, it was actually downloaded to me in prayer. It stayed in my journal for like 2 years. Many of you are sitting on stuff that's still in your journal now, and somebody else is going to pop up with your concept and your idea if you don't make a move on what the download or what God has given you as an idea to change the trajectory of your life and those around you. But this thing sat in my journal for about 2 years prior to me actually getting in alignment with consulting. But when I did, right, I've been consulting now since 2012, about 12, over a decade, about 12 years. But I remember my very first client, which was it was actually a church wanting me to do a workshop that they normally only have volunteers for, people that volunteered. But because I had made some decisions prior, I understood this is how I will provide for my family. This is the work that I do in the world. I already had an identity that I receive monetary pay for my services. And so it wasn't a push, pull, or anything. I just shared that this was my work. And they immediately asked me what I charged. They took it to whoever says yes or no. They came back next day with it's a go. You know, what else do you need? And so I had already stepped into this identity of who I was prior to the opportunity. And now this is what helped to solidify it, right? Because prior to that, I was spending hours to earn the same amount of revenue, which I was earning in 1 hour. I was spending a day to sometimes to earn that amount of money. And when I said earlier, once you see a thing, you can't unsee it. I was stepping into a realm where money was coming to me with much more ease. And I embrace this new space of being. I remember as a coach taking my offers from $1,000 to 6,000. I did like a $5,000 jump in a matter of a week. And I didn't do anything different in my marketing. As a matter of fact, when I created that $6,000 offer, I sold absolutely none of it publicly online, which was one of my greatest measures of where I marketed at that particular time. I sold every single one of them, 10 spots of $6,000 behind the scene. I didn't make one post publicly about it, nor did I send it to my email list because many of you know I teach email marketing in my academy, and I didn't use email marketing. And I signed 10 people with ease. That's 60K in sales, right? I did my biggest leap because I shifted my identity. I shifted my identity. And once I saw that, this is that thing when you see something, you can't unsee it. And if it happens for you once, and then let's say you struggle for it to happen again, which is what happens for most people, they get highs and lows that don't become normalities. It's because of some things within their identity that has not shifted. They don't have the capacity energetically from a cellular level to hold all of what they're trying to come in. And so an identity shift is the key. That first opportunity I had was because of an identity shift I made. And so there was another shift that was happening, but it was the external result to the work that I had done internally before the opportunity came before me. I hope this is making sense to you all. And if it is, I want you to share in the comments if this is making sense. Now, I understand many of you, if you're in this community at all, or if you're listening, or if by chance you manifested this particular video because of what you've been desiring to call in and desiring to happen in your life, ready to hit that 6 figure and beyond mark in your business. But with much more grace and ease. So you could be at that mark, but you need grace and ease in your life at the time. And this is why you manifested the opportunity to hear and to receive a transfer of this particular audio, right? This particular energy. And so an identity shift is what you need. And remember, I said identity shifts can happen one or two ways, either intentionally or unintentionally. And oftentimes when they happen unintentionally, there's still some internal work to do so that it becomes a normalcy, so that big win that you had, that $10,000 client that you had, and you just can't seem to get it again, that $5,000 offer that you had that you continuously sold for a minute and now it's a no go, that $1,000, whatever your thing is that was beyond the scope of your identity. And yes, it happened for you one time or a few times, but you haven't been able to have it happen consistently. There is an identity shift that has to transpire. Here's a couple things I suggest. Number one, I suggest everyone leave their hometown. Everybody. I suggest everyone leave their hometown. I mean, move. You know, even if you end up moving back at some point, I suggest everyone leave their hometown. Now, I understand that not everyone's going to leave their hometown, and it does not mean that they won't be uber successful. I'm not saying that, but I'm helping you in some of the areas that I find many people are stuck and unable to really move forward with their identity shifts because they're so focused on what everyone thinks. And so being is a huge part of an identity shift that has to transpire. And so many people are worried about what people think. Now, again, you do not have to leave your hometown. It's just a suggestion. But if you aren't, I suggest you travel often to other places. And maybe if that's not what position you're in right now, I suggest that you travel in your imagination. Now, I'm not going to go deep dive into that. I teach that in identity shifting and many of the programs and things that I teach my clients, 3D Success Academy, when you are designing your destiny, creating a vision, all of those things. But you have to change where you are in some form or fashion. I hope this is making sense for you because it's in those places that you feel more free to be this new identity, this new person that you desire to be, which is the person that's going to call in the life experiences, the life partner, husband, spouse that you want to call in, parenting experience. It's this new identity that's going to call all of that in. And it first happens on the inside of you, right? It happens within, as within, so without. So today, I wanted to bring in identity shifting. I'm hoping that some of the things I shared will help you shift into who you need to become in order to get the things that you desire. And if you desire support with that, I am the growth strategist. I'm the person for that thing to help you shift into that new identity. I have created a framework and a concept that helps you shift easily into the identity that you need to become in order to call in that new income level, your new spouse, your new experiences in your life. But whatever it is that you desire, you have to become a match for it first. And all of that is in your identity. And I have been going through the most amazing identity shift. I now shift intentionally, right? When I desire something, I now understand that there were things that I did do in the past that really changed my life, but many of those things were happening from unintended circumstances, right? That were arising. Of course, some of them happen intentionally, but even when I acquired the thing, there was still some missing pieces, and I didn't understand how important the identity aspect of it was, which I completely do now. I embody that, my dear, my darling, right? And I want to help you, right? I want to help more people shift into the identity that's the match for what it is they desire, and I want to help them do it quicker, sooner, faster. If you desire support in that area, I will leave links and ways and opportunities for you to do just that. 2025 is the year that you renew your brand and rebrand your life. Connect with me. Allow me to show you how to do that, how to renew your brand. Most people are wanting to rebrand. If you're having to rebrand every year, something is off in the branding process, but renewing your brand should be very inviting to you. It should be something that you incorporate as you continue to grow and evolve. And in 2025, that is our focus, renewing your brand and rebranding your life. Peace and abundance. That's my take on today. Remember, your identity is the energetic aspect of your results. Your identity shifting, that process, that concept is the energetic aspect of your results. It's the feminine side. You need feminine and masculine. I talk about that if you follow me, but your identity is within, and it's that energetic aspect of the results you desire. I love to support you. Peace and abundance.